I am Dana J. Smithers, and I'm one of the Emotion Code Divas certified, as is Helena Jenikin. So we are both certified through Dr. Bradley Nelson. This is a book that anybody can buy. You can do the emotion code on yourself, but Helena and I are certified and have been for a few years now. And we work with people, and I seem to be doing attracting more animals that I'm doing emotion code work with that I'm just loving because the creatures can't talk. So we just have to observe what's going on with them. So the intention of the Emotion Code Divas, we're on episode 36, and we just started doing the shows this year. But our intention is to educate. So we'll give you a little education piece. It might be on law of attraction. It might be on hypnosis. It might be on any type of healing modality. We may talk about that. It could be on a variety of things, but our main topic is the emotion code. So we hope to inspire you to either do your own or contact us, or do a check-in with yourself. What's going on? Is your life feeling balanced? You feeling good? And then we always heal and release trapped emotions from a viewer. So I'll give you a little update on what happened to me last week in the show, because Helena did some sessions on me to release some business blocks, as I had just become a certified animal Reiki practitioner. So, did the test. So I didn't really have the fear of tests. That's what we're going to talk about today. But yeah, so I'm going to update you, but I'd like to move things along to the other emotion code diva, Helena Jenikin. Come on in.
Good morning, everyone. I am Helena Jenikin. I'm a certified emotion code practitioner. I'm also a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I help men and women release excess weight, remove and release fears, phobias, especially around dentistry. I'm a specialized hypnodontics specialist, and I'm also known as the Stop Smoking Lady because I help people become smoke-free in one hypnosis session. With all my hypnotherapy sessions, I always use the emotion code in all my sessions. It works so well, it's useful, and people find incredible benefit from it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Helena. And also, as I'm a certified law of attraction coach. So I used to strictly do business, but now I work with women on relationships or health or things like that. But always after I do a coaching session, here's the action plan, this is what we're doing, but always do an emotion code session, because it just releases those little bit of hesitation about moving forward with someone. So, Helena, why don't we go ahead and jump right in? And for first-time viewers, we like to show people what we actually are doing when we're doing an emotion code session. So there's some key elements that we do to prepare, and Helena and I both get very centered. I mean, when we are tapping into someone's subconscious or whatever, whether Helena's doing hypnosis or I'm doing Reiki, we have to get very centered and very calm, and we also have to clear ourselves so that, we can't have all this negative energy going on in our minds, or it will be transferred. It just won't work. We won't get a correct reading, and we won't feel very connected. So we've done all that today. I did mine early this morning. I'm sure Helena's done hers. And then we both have a kind of a incantation or emotion or prayer that we use, that we just invite, archangels, guardians, higher power, whatever, to come into the session, and always for the highest good of all involved. So whether Helena's working on, releasing and stopping those cravings from smoking, working on the anxiety around the dental world or whatever, it's always for the highest good of everybody. So we are very committed to the work that we are doing. So what's the first thing that we need to do? Because we have a viewer today who has I would say even, I don't know if we call it phobia, but certainly a fear, really serious fear of tests that is really causing a lot of imbalances in her physical body, as well as emotional and spiritual. So the first thing that we do is I'm holding up the permission card. So what does that mean, Helena?
That means that we need our client's permission to do the work, and in this case, we can have the adult, the guardian, give permission on behalf of the minor, the child.
Right,
So we always
exactly.
need permission because I would love to go work on the world and my neighbors and people I see, but I don't have their permission, and so ethically, it's just not what we do.
Yeah, and I see so many animals that it's just, I have to stop watching stuff on Facebook because it just gets too upsetting, and there's not anything that I can do unless I have permission to do that. So once we have permission, as Helena worked on me last week as my proxy, because we're not face to face. So how will that work today then, Helena?
So I will be working on this child and by proxy, meaning that I'll tap into her subconscious mind and ask her subconscious mind direct yes or no questions. And that is, it's kind of like if you belong to a strata or you go to a meeting and you can't make it, and so you give someone else your permission to vote on your behalf.
Exactly. So we're kind of working on their behalf, and we're asking a level of severity. So uh, while we have it 1 to 10, most anyone that we're going to be working on isn't going to have a 1. The stress level's not going to be down there. So how about today's person, Helena? I know a little bit about her. I know you're going to talk a bit more, but what's her severity level?
10.
Yeah.
And that's a definite 10 from her mom, because there are so many physical symptoms that are accompanying the anxiety around tests.
Yeah. And so what we'll do as well, we will be doing muscle testing. So Helena's going to check on that 10. Once she has the permission, becomes the proxy, and she's going to tap into the subconscious and find out whether it's a 10 or not. So how do you do your muscle testing, Helena?
So I have an agreement with my subconscious mind that when I link these two fingers together into a circle, and I think of the word yes, my fingers link together and they just won't pull apart. But when I think of the word no, they just simply slip apart. So when I'm testing, this is a yes and this is a no.
Right. Okay. And for me, well, I have been using a pendulum more, especially when I'm doing distance emotion code or distance Reiki on animals. So I use a little teddy bear, that becomes the proxy or kind of the surrogate in a way. And, taking the pendulum does the same thing. It's a yes or no. So I'm actually looking at chakras, what chakras are open. And I will also do that for emotion code clients that I'm working on. And I'm looking for, a yes with the pendulum goes around. For me, a no, it just stays still. For some other people, it moves a different way, but for me, it doesn't do anything. So I get a clear reading on that. But if I'm doing emotion code, I usually do my index and thumb together, and my agreement with myself is that I'll use my other two fingers, index and middle finger, and that's a clear yes, so a strong yes, and that's a no. And Helene and I work with this emotion code chart when we're doing the emotion code. So we're looking at, where are we going to go first on here, Helena? We look at,
We're going to be looking at the columns, and so I'll be asking if it's in column A or column B, and then I'll ask if it's in an odd row or an even row. And so then when we come to a particular cell, then I'll ask individually about those negative emotions. If this is the one that's trapped that we can release, and go down the list and go ahead and then release it. If I can, but sometimes we actually need to know more information.
right.
And so that's when I ask the client some more information.
And also we may find out if we're asking that question, does this belong to the client, and we get a no. So when we get a no, like, all right, we're going to ask some other questions. And usually what we're asking is, it inherited, right? And so we can check that down the line to see whether it's, father, mother, which not generic, which genetic line it goes down, and then we can remove that from wherever they are. Because with energy healing, there's no time, space, or dimensions, right? There's no past, present, or future because it's all part of that quantum physics. Whether you know it or not, this is all based on science and quantum physics. So you can look up more about that. We're not going to talk about now. But when we're releasing those emotions, we are using a magnet.
A magnet, yes. And so today my magnets, I have different kinds of magnets. I've got two larger magnets, and they're very strong. And I'll be using these magnets to intensify my intention, to release the negative trapped emotion that comes up through when it gets identified from the physical system, pops into the energetic system, and then using the governing meridian in the body, which was discovered by the Chinese centuries ago, which starts at the bottom of the nose and goes all the way to the tip of your tailbone. And so you'll see me doing a swiping motion like this with my magnets, releasing, canceling the emotion out.
Exactly. We're demagnetizing. We've got using the same kind of magnets today, but there's lots of magnets you can get. If you don't have a magnet, your hand will work just as well. And again, it's all about intention. So when we're demagnetizing that emotion and we're taking it over that grand meridian, that's what we're doing. If we're doing work with someone in person, then we can go all the way from there down to their tailbone. But when they're not and we're their proxy, then we're doing it that way. And what is one of the most important things, Helena?
Hydration. Hydration. Water is very important for energy to flow through our system. So cheers.
Cheers. All right, Helena, I'm going to let you go ahead and get started. But before you do, for whatever reason, nothing's coming up on my phone, so
I've got lots.
Okay, tell us who's giving us a show.
So who do we have today? We have Natasha Paula Samuel. Hello, Dana and Helena. Looking forward to the show. Watching from windy Runford, Essex.
Oh, okay.
We have Leslie Marshall watching. I could have used this when I was in college. I hear you, Leslie. And Elaine Goldman. Hi, Dana and Helena. And she's also saying, the fear of tests has been a lifelong issue for me. Well.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about law of attraction, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit about NLP. So, Helena, are you set to go ahead then?
I'm set. I'm just reviewing the information, the
Okay.
proxy, the severity, and all some other details. Got it.
Okay, good. And then remind me at the end, I want to give a recap of the session, what happened for me where my blocks were removed last week. So a little bit of law of attraction 101, right? The thing about taking tests is in our conscious mind, we can get into a real kind of hornet's nest of, oh, I don't know if I can do it. You know, this is mindset stuff, right? This is all the negative self-talk. I don't know if I'm good enough. What if I pass? What if I'm successful? Then what happens? What if I fail? So the mind has got all this, what I call mind frick going on. So all of these thoughts are in your head. And that just makes it a double whammy for if you're walking into a room and doing a test. Not everybody is going to be able to do well in a traditional school system. That's a fact. I remember when I went to university and I was taking some master's courses, and I had to pass a couple of tests before I could get into the master's programs. And I hadn't really had an issue with tests before, but what I found was, for me, I'd set the bar so high that I absolutely got petrified and immobilized. And I know that I'm smart. I knew my material, but when I walked in for this one test, for whatever reason, even though I'd studied, I'd read, I knew what I needed to do, my mind just went blank. And that can happen. And the only way that I was able to actually go through that test was by just calming myself and letting myself know that if worst case scenario, If I didn't pass or get the mark that I wanted, there was a possibility that I could write it again. If someone is very agitated or angry, upset, terrified of doing the test, that's going to block all your emotions. Helena and I talk about, we use a lemon to show the starting size of what an emotion can be. So if you're fearful of tests or, failing them in particular, then you're just going to be filled. Your body's going to be filled with this. And these can just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they can attach onto one another. And this is where you can actually get some real physical discomfort. And most people feel that in their solar plexus chakra. So their solar plexus as well as their sacral chakra, which is really around the stomach area. So you kind of get feeling sick. So you're just making it worse and worse, right? Because what you're focusing on is failing. What if I fail? What if I fail? What if I don't pass? And then you're thinking of all of these negative ramifications that are going on down the line. So you just got to breathe. You've got to reset your vibration. You've got to come prepared, do the best that you can, and know that if this doesn't work out, maybe also there might be a reason for it. Maybe this isn't the field that you need to go into. Now, if you're in high school, such as the person that Helena's working on today, that's a little bit different because she's still got several years to go in school. And by releasing these trapped emotions, this is where I wish, if I had known the emotion code when I was studying for tests or going at the university, I think it would have been a whole lot better and a whole lot easier. But something else that I wanted to talk about, in the law of attraction, we also do talk about neuro-linguistic programming. So this is called NLP for short. And Helena, a lot of hypnotherapists use it. I use it in my coaching practice and also when I'm working with clients to help them understand if they're not understanding something, what's going on with them. Now, for example, I recently took an online, I've taken several online courses. That's one way of learning. So I'm getting a visual as well as some auditory. However, I also want the hands-on part of it because when we're working with someone, we all have 4 types of communication that we're best at. So if you're the person that is a visual person, then having someone in front of you, having information in front of you, someplace where you can see what's going on, that's going to help you learn. If visual is not your style, because we're all a mix of all 4, but one or 2 are more dominant. So a visual learner is going to do really well with people showing them things. This is how you do it, and then doing it. If they don't get that opportunity, they may not feel as successful, and they may have a little bit in the back of their mind, subconscious, the fear of failing something. If they're auditory learners or communicators, they're the ones that like to hear everything. So they may do better just listening and having audios and being able to learn by playing that information over and over and over. So this is something that you really want to know. What is your style? And for the person that we're working on today, I don't know what her learning style is, but it would be worth finding out and checking that out. So visual, auditory, then kinesthetic. These are the people that learn best with, they're the touchy-feely people, right? They love, love, love to be part of a team. They love to have people working together. They love to support a team. And if they find themselves isolated in their learning, they may not do as well. So the visual like to have a lot of visual stimulation. The auditory like to hear, so recordings might be better for them, something they can listen to over and over and over. Kinesthetic like to work in groups. They like to have the people around. They like to share. And the digital person is someone that likes lists. Digitals are good with checklists. This is what I need to do. This is, if you say that there's 4 steps in the program and you only do 3, their hand's going to go up and say, excuse me, I'm a digital. Where's that number 4 you talked about, right? So for them, if they don't have that, it's harder for them to learn. So we're a mix of all 4. It's really good to find out what your learning style is. And if you want to know more, then uh, put that information in the post, and I will send you to a link on someone else's website where you can download and see what your neuro-linguistic programming style is. What's your best communication style? How do you learn best? So, as I say, some of you may be visual, some auditory, some kinesthetic, and digital. We are a mix of all four, but everybody has one dominant learning style where they will perform better, especially when they're going to go ahead and do a test. Now, just a little aside here. I know someone whose second language is English, and they were doing a test. They're super stressed about tests anyway, and they did the test in English. They didn't do very well on the test. They asked if they could have somebody read them the test in English, and if they could answer in their language and then write down and then relay that information. So that's a person that's very auditory. They needed to hear the information from someone else and they could respond better. Some people just freeze up when they sit in a room, especially at university. If you've got a lot of, I've been there where there's hundreds of people in the room all doing the test, and you see some people just whipping through and you're sitting there going, you're thinking, well, what's my name, right? Like it's, you get that tense. What's my name? Who am I? Where am I? What is this test? And then, it's all about breathing. It's about shifting that mindset. It's about getting into a place that if you have studied, because that can be part of it. Maybe you haven't studied, then naturally fear would come up. But if you've done everything, then just take a deep breath, relax, move into it, and have the confidence, feel good in your stomach, do some nice breathing exercises. Just take a few breaths and then just start. And usually once you start, then things start to flow. If you need to pause, just ask for some guidance, take a breath, move on to the next thing. So remember that, be easy on yourself, right? Because the learning style that you may be expected to be best in may not be your learning style. So it's super important to acknowledge that and just know how you communicate best as well too, because people that are visual are always going to say something like, well, do you see what I mean? And someone might say, well, you don't have anything in front of me. What do you mean, do I see what you mean, right? And the auditory is going to be someone say, are you hearing what I'm saying, right? And someone's like, well, I don't hear anything, right? And then you get to this kinesthetic. Are you feeling? And they're going, a lot of times, man, can't say to my husband, what are you feeling? It's not a good word, but we can get past it. And then the digitals, it's, well, what do you think, right? So start to listen how people are responding. Also, you can get a clue as to their NLP communication style by seeing what they post in Facebook. If there's somebody that's saying, yeah, I see what you mean, or I hear what you're saying, or that feels good, or what do you think? Those are all clues to that particular learning style that they have. So maybe the mom that's listening today can maybe pay a little bit of attention to what her daughter's communication style is, and maybe they can move a bit forward with these tests and find some other ways to to approach them that will not be so terrifying and so upsetting physically for this daughter. So Helena, you're finished. All right.
I am finished. As you were talking there, I was reminded, I had forgotten I used to be terrified of tests. And way back in the mid-90s, I was going back to college to take some classes. And I was seeing a lady who does touch for health, I guess another type of healing, energy healing technique. And she did actually hypnosis on me. And I regressed back to a time when I was in grade 1. And it was grade 1, and I was whatever happened there, we resolved it there, and it carried forward, and my fear of tests all went away. And it all stemmed from feeling trapped and not having power to leave the classroom if really needed.
Wow.
And once I realized I was an adult and I could make some decisions there, my tests were easy to do then. I
Yeah,
felt
and Emotion
comfortable.
Code will definitely release that and find out at what age did that get trapped. So what did you find out for our viewer today, for her
So
daughter?
I found out that I started at a 10, got down to a 6, did a little bit more, did some looked for some hidden trapped emotions, and then got down to a 0. So it started out with the very first one was shock, and then worthless, pride, and then anxiety came up, low self-esteem, and then an inherited trapped emotion of failure. And that failure was inherited from the father's father.
Okay.
So it didn't even belong to her, just passed down to her through her genes.
Yeah.
And that was released. And then the last one was indecisiveness. And when I was doing that one, it was the lack of ability to really confirm that that was the right answer. And so now she'll be able to know that, yes, that's the right answer. That's the one I want to put down. And then I thought I was done. And then it said, nope, you got some more stuff to do. And so then I looked for hidden. No, there wasn't any hidden. But I found an inherited trapped emotion from the mom. And it was a hidden shock, which is really interesting because that was the very first emotion that I found within her. So I released that as well. And it said the anxiety is now down to a 0. And so I'd let that gently process and just let's see how that helps. Because I know I have an update from her. It was the same person a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about back to school fears, and apparently afterwards, just an update, she says here she slept for almost 10 hours after the session, and she does feel lighter in mood and doesn't feel as dread and doom about going to school. So she still hates going to school, but she doesn't seem to have to nag her so much to get ready to go.
Yeah. And high school's high school, right? I mean, we're going through a lot of emotions at that time, and I can't even imagine what it's like now. I know, yeah, well, I don't want to go back there in memory for that, but thanks so much,
So what,
Lena. As I said,
and what about your update?
yes,
Last week
all
I
right.
worked
So
on you.
last week we did, we were looking for homework blocks or business blocks. So for me, in a way, mine was homework because I just completed animal Reiki certification. And next, I knew that I had to obviously work on animals using what I had learned. And so Helena did a session on me, which was great. So I decided to do a Facebook post asking for people for their animals. And I received I had to stop at a dozen because they take a while to do. And I'm doing 11 of them by distance. I've done them, but tomorrow I'm actually going to a friend's home who has a dog, Forrest, who's a little bit, it's just a year, but he's got some things, a little bit aloof and that sort of thing. So what I found with all of when Helena released those blocks, like it didn't take long at all. I didn't spend a lot of time processing. So I made my list. I'm going to look more for animal sanctuaries, and I've actually found a few. Doggy daycare is one of the people I did, runs a doggy daycare, as it turns out. So yay, good law of attraction for me, good attracting. And then I'm getting more and more animals like cats and dogs mainly, although I've connected with someone who has she has an animal sanctuary, so she's got 30 cats, 3 pigs, chickens, a couple of pet rats, sort of pet rats, lots of feral cats, and some snakes. And
Oh,
even though
some snakes
I know,
now.
Helena, I know when she said this snake was 8 feet long, we might have to work on the 8 because, whoa. But no, it's a lovely snake, and her grandson loves the snake, and It's like, okay, I'm feeling a bit shaky. So that, I'll go to the dogs and cats, and I love pigs. So, and she's got some horses as well. So that was just, a very short session that Helena had done with me, but it just was enough to get me going. Now, for Helena and myself, there are sometimes a session will be quickly, but there are other times when we know it's going to be at least 3 sessions where we work on somebody. Like some of these animals, because I'm just, doing it sort of complimentary. I'm not going to be with them for a long time, although some of them will be in my consciousness. But it's never usually just one for anything. When a lot of shock comes up, which it did for the animals too, Helena, when there's shock or things that are more traumatic, those things take a longer time for us to work through. So whether Helena's doing hypnosis or we're doing emotion code or whatever, it takes time. So, and we don't know what that timing is, right? We completely, unless Helena's doing her stop smoking, which she knows exactly, how long those sessions take. One session and you're done. Other things that are more traumatic are going to take longer to do. And again, we just set the intention, but we have to allow the universe to do what it needs to do and that healing energy to come in. Yeah. So that's what happened to me. So I thank you for that, Helena. That's very helpful. So for whatever reason, it's not showing up on my phone anymore. So I don't know what that means. So any other comments?
Let us see. I'm good.
Okay. And
That's it.
Just a reminder too, I think it's October, let me just check in our sheet here, October 10th. Yeah, we're looking for people like Kelly May, you've been on the show, Chris Coutinho has been on, Dawn, 2 Dawns have been on, other people, can't think right now, but whether it's recent or a little while ago, if you've been on the show, we would love to have you live. So you would be part of the panel, the Hollywood Squares, that we would be doing. I would just send you the link to the program. So yeah, we just like to hear what's happened, how are things going, report in if you've got a testimonial, or maybe you're even learning the emotion code or something. We've inspired you to do that. So next week's show, we are looking for someone. And we know there are a lot of people that have this trapped emotion of project procrastination. So do you have a project that you need to be doing, but oh my goodness, there's so many other fun things to do and oopsie, forgot, right? Or maybe you're doing it a little bit. Some people procrastinate and they say they get a high at the end when they have to rush and get things done, and that's the motivation. Me, I find that very negative, a little bit self-sabotaging, so we'd like to discourage that. So if anybody who has project procrastination, let us know, and we'll get some posts up about it so you can sign up, or let us know if you want to be someone that we work on the emotion code with. So that's it from the Divas. Helena, how can people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me through my website, which is flourishhypnosis.com/emotion-code. I have a Facebook page, Flourish Hypnosis, as well as a YouTube channel, Flourish Hypnosis and Helena Jenikin.
Excellent, thank you. And you can find me at danasmithers.com /emotion code. And if you can go to sub pages for animals if you want me to work on some animals. And my YouTube channel is Empowered Women in Business. So that's it from the Divas today. I have a sunny day where I am. Helena, how about you?
It's a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, we've had some gorgeous fall days, and then I hear rain's a coming.
Makes everything green.
That's right. So I'm going to go out to the dog beach this afternoon and soak it up. It's such a nice, tranquil place to be. So that's it for now. So thanks so much for watching, and please share. We're still a fairly new show, and we would just love for you to have some of your followers check us out. That's it for now.